Hello and welcome to the Pirates Show here on DK Sports Radio. I'm Dejan Kovacevic, joined here at Highmark Stadium Studios by Lysowski.
Always great. Spring training is almost less than 2 weeks away.
It's crazy, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. There's
I know everybody says that every year, but this year it feels like, really?
It just came so quick. I know that they were, spring training starts a little bit earlier because the season's bumped up a few days, but still, when I was at voluntary workouts a few weeks back, none of the players can believe that, it's this close. So
we have an enlightening, hopefully, show for you today covering baseball before the Pirates get into camp and things start to look a little bit more settled. But before we go too deeply into that, Lance, what's left for a major move here? Let me rephrase that. What's left even for a minor move here? Because they are still at zero on the free agency O-meter.
I can see them bringing in an outfielder, a veteran outfielder, somebody who's looking for maybe a one-year prove-it deal.
Give us a name.
Yeah, Melky Cabrera is one guy
go.
that I think makes a ton of sense for them. I don't think this team can go into this season with Adam Frazier as the starting left fielder, and there really aren't any other options. Jordan Luplow got bumped up to the major leagues after playing only 44 AAA games, which is very uncharacteristic for the Pirates. With that few AAA at-bats, he had a good year, but I can't see him being in the major leagues.
He occasionally would show something. He has that poise about him, but then you look at the numbers at the end and go, let's put it this way. That's not saying he doesn't have a future or anything. It's just that it might not be the role you're describing for 2018.
Exactly. And then you hear the name Jose Osuna. He can't play the outfield. You saw it last season, I think.
Except for throwing.
Yeah, he's got a cannon for an arm. I think he's better suited to start the year AAA, play third base every day, and kind of carve out a niche there, maybe be the eventual replacement for David Freese's backup at third base and first base. What's going to be interesting to see here in the few next, even extending past when players report, is Josh Harrison. Is he going to be on this team for 2018? And, from the things you're hearing, it seems like a deal isn't going to get done, and they kind of expect him to return.
Well, you have to look at who's still there in the event of a Harrison trade. Are you putting Max Moroff at second base? Don't laugh, because the GM said publicly
they love him,
that's what they would have done had Harrison been traded last summer, that Moroff was just going to step in and be the guy, never mind that he hit like a $180 and whatever else.
Showed some power at AAA, switch hitter, but and he's better defensively than Adam Frazier, and you can't play Frazier at second base because of the defense. I think he's better suited as a fourth outfield type role. There's no solution there. There's nobody coming up. You've got Kevin Newman, who's probably the eventual replacement for Jordy Mercer. You got Cole Tucker coming up, another shortstop, Kevin Kramer. Those guys aren't close to being ready. So with Josh Harrison under contract for one more year plus two more team options after the fact, there'll be interest there, but I don't think they're in any rush to deal him right now.
I don't think they can.
No.
That's what jumps out to me here when you're describing these scenarios, and every time you do, all I think to myself is, okay, if that guy's gone, who will he replace? Because they're not going to get like major league player back. It's going to be all prospect type deals.
The report was they were going after Brandon Nimmo, the outfielder from the Mets, and the Mets said no. I don't think anybody's going to want to give them major league ready type player right now. Harrison, some of the on-base percentage was inflated a little bit by the hit-by pitches last season, but
which is part of the game.
Yeah, it's part of the game. As much as people want to dissect it, he's still the free-swinging type. So some teams, like the Yankees, who are going to have a lot of free-swinging type guys, they might not see Harrison as an ideal fit. The Mets don't want to spend any more money, it seems like. So right now, there just isn't that one team out there that you can say, okay, they're really going to make a push for Harrison. It's still kind of a wait-and-see mode because the Brewers they're making a push to sign Yu Darvish, and so are the Cubs. So
Brewers are just flat out making a push.
They're trying.
Yeah,
they're going for it.
Yeah, going for it.
Well, they had a nice foundation in place last year. You saw the pieces, and that was a really you walked into that clubhouse, and there was just such an energy about it. And to add the pieces they did, they're an intriguing team going into the season.
They're a very, very confident group. There's no question about that. But to get back to the Pirates, where you take this guy out, and all I hear is, okay, who's going in his place? Jung Ho Kang obviously isn't coming back. They pretty much said so. So, is David Freese third baseman? Are you just going to throw Sean Rodriguez out there every day at a different position?
I guess he would be the starting second baseman at this point. Because Colin Moran, I think the third baseman they acquired in the Garrett Cole trade is more than likely going to be the starting third baseman no matter what, unless he totally fails.
Yeah, but again, what if you go to spring training and David Freese completely rakes it, and this kid goes in there and struggles, and you're putting everybody in an awkward position here, because then it's another Drew Hutchison mess, where you're just forcing somebody out there because of the nature of the acquisition. I don't know, Lance.
They're in a very.
This does not sound like a contending team in the NL Central.
No. I think that there is some, I guess, internal optimism, especially with the young starting pitching, the bullpen, which I think Neil Huntington did a pretty good job of supplementing through trades, not through free agency, obviously. But you've got so many holes. I mean, you lose Andrew McCutchen, you don't replace him. The bench is thin again, and the bench was a huge problem last year. And you're gambling on Gregory Polanco and Starling Marte. It's
a lot.
Very much.
A lot.
I don't think they can afford to do that. That's why when Neil Huntington says that this team is truly going to try to contend in 2018, I just don't believe that.
Well, let's look at, before we take a break here, the one area that would allow the Pirates to contend, and by this I just mean in an ideal world, that would be what you just mentioned, which is the young rotation.
Yes. I think
who is that? How do they look? How are these guys going to stun the world?
Well, okay, you've got Jameson Taillon, Chad Kuhl, and Trevor Williams, three guys that towards the end of the season in particular, after they got all those starts under their belt, really started to show signs of progress. You look at Chad Kuhl, who kind of reinvented his arsenal a little bit, throwing more four-seam fastballs after throwing, 90% two-seam fastballs in his rookie year. Trevor Williams, who really was one of the best rookie starting pitchers in the National League.
Yes, he was.
And Jameson Taillon, who I think personally has the tools, has the bravado to be a top-of-the-rotation starter. I think he could be an ace. And I'm not just saying that because of where he was drafted. There were times last season, despite the cancer battle and everything else, where he would have a start and you'd go, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, he's showing what Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
He showed what Garrett Cole showed at times during his time in Pittsburgh. And you've got Ivan Nova, who we all forget about.
Yeah, and that's the guy that I wanted to bring up, because Nova, he was so good for the first half of last season, and he made the signing look good, the extension, which, way before it happened, I was way in favor of it. I loved what they were able to get from Nova in the trade when he first came over. Loved the extension, felt it was a rare and precious commitment on the part of everybody, including ownership, even though they were basically reallocating money they had saved elsewhere. At least it wasn't going into the pockets. It was nice to see. Nova is a much, much better pitcher than what he showed down the stretch last season. That said, he's also had his own bouts of significant inconsistency throughout his career, as the numbers will warrant.
This was the one thing that Clint Hurdle has brought up time and time again this offseason, is that this was Ivan Nova's first full Major League season in a Major League rotation. He's pitched in the bullpen. He's had to go down to AAA. And I go back to, when I look at Nova's season, he struggled terribly in the second half, was not good at all. He almost missed a start in Atlanta in late May because of a knee injury. And now he wouldn't say this, publicly, that it was the reason behind his struggles, but after every day you saw him in the clubhouse, he has a huge bag of ice on his knee. And you see the guy, favoring it a little bit on the mound, and
he's planting, and
I just think, personally, and then you talk to people in the clubhouse, everybody kind of thinks that was the reason why a lot of the struggles happen.
Well, and if you think about it, it makes sense, because Nova's successes have always come through pinpoint fastball control, and when he was struggling, he was missing, as Clint Hurdle often talked about, and so did Ray Searage, within the zone. And that's when a pinpoint guy gets in trouble, because he misses the pinned point.
Yeah, he's not going to overpower guys. That's not
right.
Nova's game.
No.
And when the fastball location failed him, of course, especially last year in the National League, he got hit hard. So with him coming back, and they've that number 5 starter
spot.
Who's
the 5 starter, Lance?
I think they're going to give it to Musgrove, who stunk in the rotation for the Astros last year.
He's
really,
Glass now, man. Look at his stats. He's Tyler Glass now.
There's so many parallels between
amazing.
The two pitchers.
Like they're the same person.
And just based on everything Neil Huntington has said since the trade, it sounds like they're just going to hand Musgrove a rotation spot and have him try to
Drew Hutchison
to kind of hold his way in there, because from, Brault and Glass now, where do those guys go? Because it sounds like both are going to the bullpen.
Yeah, Steve Brault is going to be that classic 4A guy, in the sense that he was able to get you innings and everything else and fool people at AAA, and then he comes to the majors and they just realize he has no stuff.
I think he could be a decent reliever. And
Long man?
Yeah, I think he could be a pretty good long man for a major league bullpen, but no, he's not going to be a high leverage guy if he's going to pitch to the bullpen. And I haven't seen anything besides that start in Milwaukee last year that I believe you covered.
Of course, I covered it. It was in Milwaukee.
where he pitched really well. Everything I've seen, I think that's where he ends up. Now, Glass now, time will tell, I guess.
Yeah. When we come back, more baseball. Stay with us here on DK Sports Radio.
Injured in an accident? Need assistance in preserving your business's interests? Let the attorneys at Bassey, Vreeland & Associates protect your legal rights. For over 65 years, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates has been representing the citizens and businesses of southwestern Pennsylvania. With offices strategically located in Washington and Charleroi, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can deliver results for you throughout the Pittsburgh area. Visit www.bmvlaw.com or call 724-228-7000 to see how Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can meet your legal needs. Bassey, Vreeland & Associates. We fight, we care, we win.
It's time to cash in on non-stop sports action with MyBookie.ag. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event, plus MyBookie.ag will match your deposit with a bonus up to 100%. With decades of expertise and no-hassle payouts, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business, guaranteed. Use promo code DKRadio to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-BETS or visit mybookie.ag to open an account. Sign up today.
Miller Lite is the original light beer, and we'll always brew it to have more taste, with only 96 calories and 3.2 carbs. Because we believe that if you compromise on taste, you can taste the compromise. Miller Lite. Hold true.
Great beer, great responsibility. 2018 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Average analysis, 12 fluid ounces. Less than 1 gram protein, 0 grams fat.
What I want from my public accounting firm is big ideas.
But I don't want to lose the personal attention.
My company needs global capabilities.
From a firm with local ownership.
And I want to work with industry experts.
Who take the time to understand my unique challenges. And that's what sets Schneider Downs apart. Expertise for the most complex business issues, with the service you need every day. To learn how our big thinking with a personal focus can help your company, visit schneiderdowns.com.
If you're one of the thousands of Western Pennsylvanians who love to get outdoors, then you need to check out this amazing new website, stepoutside.org. Hi, I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Sports Radio. I'm born and raised in Pittsburgh. I know about the outdoor life that's available to all of us in Western Pennsylvania. Learn where, when, and how you can go camping, hiking, hunting, take part in power sports, shooting sports, water sports in your local community, across our region, across the country at stepoutside.org.
In Pittsburgh, we bleed black and gold and love our city. Born in Pittsburgh and now celebrating 130 years in business, Henny Jewelers is proud to be your premier jewelry store. Whether it's choosing that watch you've always wanted or you're searching for the ring that was made for her, trust Henny Jewelers. Visit our store on Walnut Street in Shadyside to see our extensive inventory of designer engagement rings, watches, and one-of-a-kind jewelry. For more, go to hennyjewelers.com and follow on social.
Embarrassed by that stained carpet in your office? Tired of looking at your dull, dirty floor? My Floor Needs is here to fix that. With years of experience and 24/7 service, My Floor Needs offers stripping and waxing, carpet, tile, grout, and concrete cleaning, as well as polishing and buffing services. Call 888-67-MY-FLOOR or email info@myfloorneeds.com for a free estimate and get your floors looking like new again. Whatever your floor needs, call 888-67-MY-FLOOR.
Does your company ever miss its sales goals or struggle getting new business?
Is it tough to hire or to give reps the right tools?
Hi, I'm Dan, and I started Engaged Prospect right here in Pittsburgh to help companies like yours.
And I'm Sam. We're helping companies hit sales goals and grow their businesses.
Think of us as your inside sales team.
Our clients are experts in their fields. We're experts in inside sales.
Give us a call today at 412-715-5151.
Or visit us online at engagedprospect.com/DK.
It's been 50 years since the Summer of Love, but if you're not performing as well as you'd like, check out endedforless.com. I'm Eric Cushy of Curtis Pharmacy. Don't pay premium prices for the little blue pill. So Denafil, the same active ingredient as in Viagra, costs 80% less. endedforless.com. All we need is your physician's name. We do the rest. Free shipping, too. endedforless.com. Curtis Pharmacy, Western PA's Better Way Pharmacy. curtispharmacy.com.
Welcome back to the Pirate Show here on DK Sports Radio. I'm Dejan Kovacevic, joined by Lance Lysowski here at our Highmark Stadium studios, and we're going to go through what everybody wants to do in spring training.
The lineup.
And we do fake lineups, real lineups. Every day that Clint Hurdle pins the lineup for the following day, that's how it happens. And late in the afternoon, he'll go and tell you, okay, here's who's playing and here's the batting order for tomorrow against the Red Sox in Fort Myers. So everybody has kind of a chance to mentally prepare themselves. And the moment that goes up, Lance, you look at it and start thinking, whoa, what does this mean? What does this mean? Meanwhile, it actually more often than not means nothing.
Yeah. I think last year it was Adam Frazier batting leadoff. That was one of the storylines during spring training. He did that, during the season. With Josh Harrison after Starling Marte's suspension, but this year in particular, with Andrew McCutchen gone, with Starling Marte back, potentially ready to play a full season, it's very interesting. We just put together a lineup here that might frustrate some Pirates fans. I guess I would say.
Think so. Yeah. It's got a couple of big holes in it, and we'll go through them one at a time here. Our projected / possible / not really material Pirates lineup for 2018 based on what we know right now. And let's start with the leadoff guy.
So batting leadoff and playing center field,
Number
which I guess
6.
you're going to have to get used to saying again, is Starling Marte.
I'll do my best Tim Tobacco here.
No, Marte, I think what he was able to accomplish in September, how he came on late in the Dominican Winter League, you talked to Clint Hurdle and Neil Huntington at the winter meetings. Both were very optimistic about what Marte can do for this team in 2018. And batting, I think that he would be the kind of the common sense option for batting leadoff in this mock lineup we have if Josh Harrison returns, which I guess that takes.
Well,
us to
we're gonna project with what's there as opposed to what we think will be there, and Josh Harrison would bat second, in addition to his ability to crowd the plate. Although I'll tell you what, Lance, he swore to me late last season that he wasn't doing that again.
Yeah, and he just got so frustrated.
He has had it with getting hit by pitches. He swears it's not an intentional thing. He just won't give up a millimeter of space in what is his batter's box. So he's not going to be an on-base guy, but he is a guy who, when he's hitting well, as he did for most of last season, is going to put wood to the ball, and he's going to find a way to make things happen with at least a little bit of pop in terms of extra bases.
He's a nice catalyst. I mean, some of the things that he can do at the top of the order brings energy with this team,
on
with
the
where
bases.
it is at. Yeah, I mean, he can do some things.
Yeah,
and
so there's a 1 and a 2. Let's go to 3.
Polanco at 3, playing right field, of course, not going to left like he started last season. Big question mark. I guess if they can get anything out of him, that would be, compared to last season. There's a lot of optimism there, as Clint Hurdle said.
There has to be because of his talent. However,
there's so much upside there.
However, Lance, until there is upside that is demonstrated on a consistent basis, then it's nothing. And Polanco has to enter this camp understanding that not only would he be replacing Andrew McCutchen in our mythical little batting order here, he actually has to replace Kutch's production, Kutch's dynamism, the way that pitchers will work around Kutch. He has to be all of those things. And I think that part of the benefit, if Hurdle does in fact put him at number 3, is instilling that in him. Look, you being a star in this equation can't be optional.
Yeah, they need him to produce the type of power that they lost with Andrew McCutchen gone. They need him to be lineup protection for Josh Bell and even Josh Harrison batting number 2. If Polanco can even come close to fulfilling that potential, I mean, this definitely changes things.
Did you give up our cleanup guy? You just spat his name out.
I'm sorry, guys.
Man, all the suspense just thrown right out.
I don't think that one was much of a surprise.
No.
I mean, Josh Bell, cleanup hitter, what he was able to do in his first full major league season, National League Rookie of the Year finalist. the type of player you build around. I think he's demonstrated that.
What I wish more people knew about and would appreciate about Josh Bell, I wrote about this late in the season for Milwaukee, and nobody read it. I mean,
I read it.
He is such a smart, ambitious individual. Kutch himself told me on that same trip for the same story that he sees a lot of himself in Josh Bell, the young version of him, where he's so determined, so focused, in addition to having all of that God-given ability and power and everything else. Teams are going to want to stay away from him when he's batting, which makes it incumbent, as you were suggesting earlier, on the players around him to do well, to come through, especially the players ahead of him that we've mentioned already. But he's got what it takes.
He has what it takes. And like you said, off the field, this is a guy who just works so hard. He's so diligent about studying opposing pitchers, studying his own weaknesses, making little tweaks to his swing, his stance. And, of course, it worked out last season. I think that he, when I spoke to him at voluntary workouts earlier last month, he just told me that he learned, what kind of ailed him last season when he did struggle for long periods of time. So there's optimism there. The question is, though, is now there's really nobody hitting behind him in our mythical lineup.
And
to help Josh
we
Bell out.
go, as the Joker said in Batman Returns.
As you and I spoke about, I think that this is going to be the spot for whomever plays third base.
You're talking about 5 now.
Yes,
the
number
5
in their
spot in
batting.
the order.
It
Yeah,
would be either David Freese or Colin Moran. Now, Colin Moran's a power-hitting left-hander who had one breakout season last year at AAA, but he's only has 16 games of Major League experience. That power surge last season, of course, that was a product of him focusing more on launch angle. He's following that trend. But it was done in the Pacific Coast League. I think we need to have sort of an asterisk next to those numbers, because
big asterisk.
We don't know what he's going to be able to produce in the major leagues.
No.
I mean, he came up last year for the Astros, and he fell at a pitch off of his orbital bone and missed pretty much the rest of the season with a concussion. So David Freese is a guy who I think could easily just retain that starting job, and that would really, really make things difficult, not only for Clint Hurdle, but Neil Huntington in particular, for making that trade. And Colin Moran is supposed to be a big piece of that.
Well, 5 and 6 are going to be the toughest spots in this order, because as we looked at this thing, we can see a 7 and an 8 in Cervelli and Mercer that would be a very competitive 7 and 8 in the NL Central, maybe anywhere in baseball. It's a nice 7 and 8. However, if you're Clint Hurdle, do you just slot guys where they look nice, or do you say, you know what, I have to give Cervelli more of an offensive role here. I know that he can handle being at 5. Maybe he slides up. That's the where this conversation starts getting a little bit convoluted here. I mean, remember too that last year that Clint had that pattern where he would move Jordy Mercer up to leadoff against lefties.
Yeah, and Jordy's really good. He actually struggled a bit against lefties last year, and part of that was because they didn't face almost any left-handers for the first couple months of the season. But that's a guy offensively, he's really excelled. But do you take him out of his comfort zone, batting 8th, and move him up in the order?
Yeah, I don't know. I know that the idea of Colin Moran, regardless of his potential, regardless of his experience, regardless of his orbital bone, I don't like the idea of just throwing the kid right into the number 5 spot. This is not some star prospect. This is not some legend that you're just dropping in.
That's a very prominent role for a young player, especially if you're saying that this team is indeed trying to contend in this division.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with getting power lower in the order. If the kid pops a couple, I'll tell you what Clint Hurdle did with guys like Jordan Luplow, like Max Moroff, whatever, is he kept them low in the order. He didn't force their hand. He didn't thrust them out there in the middle of the lineup. Clint is a big believer in lineup roles.
He is.
It's a little old school in that regard, but I don't see this, this 5 spot going to Moran, maybe to Freese on occasion, but anyway, what's 6?
6, we have whoever plays left field, which right now I would say would be either Sean Rodriguez or Adam Frazier. So,
yeah.
I mean, you're taking another risk on Sean Rodriguez. What version do you get? Do you get the version that wasn't entirely healthy in 2017 after he was coming back from shoulder surgery?
And you can't play him every day, man. You just can't.
You just can't. You can't. I think the same could be said for Adam Frazier. I think at times maybe, and again, this is a spot where they need
have to get a
spend
player.
money. They need to get a player.
They just to get a player.
And I mentioned Melky Cabrera, somebody like that to supplement this batting order and to possibly not hit 6th, but to hit 5th. I just think that right now this is the big question mark heading into these final few weeks until we get to the season, because of course it's a lot closer than it might seem.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that 5
really,
and 6, because then after that, and we've already essentially given this away, but it looks like, in your perfect world, it would be Cervelli 7, Mercer 8.
And another piece to consider here is I don't think Francisco Cervelli is going to be playing nearly as many games he played a couple of years. I think Elias Diaz is going to be given a pretty prominent role in terms of playing once every. I think there's going to be more of a platoon, a lot closer.
But
to a
he's
platoon
not
than
a 5 or a 6
No,
either.
he's not. I mean, but he's the type of bat that I think at the bottom of the order, if he progresses the way that they hope he does, I think that's another guy at the bottom of the order who could bring some pop at times.
What's that number for tickets again, Lance? Oh my God.
But yes,
honestly, I mean, I don't mean to be, the downer dude here, or whatever. But there are elements to this lineup that can dynamic.
Put Andrew McCutcheon and Jung Ho Gung into that lineup.
Okay, well, that changes.
We're in fantasy land, but yes.
But in the top 4 of this lineup can be competitive. Marte, Jay Hay, Polanco, and Josh Bell.
That's a core.
And I think the bottom of it is okay. But when you're going into a spring training and you're just a couple of weeks away and you're still talking about who's going to be 5 and 6, that's rough, man.
It shows where this team is now compared to what it was a few years ago. And I don't think anything's going to change. I don't see them spending much money. I think that they're going to go in with this team into the season, and that's a pretty big risk to run.
Yeah, it sure is. For Lance Lysowski, I'm Dejan Kovacevic. You listen to the Pirates Show here on DK Sports Radio.
Injured in an accident? Need assistance in preserving your business's interests? Let the attorneys at Bassey, Vreeland & Associates protect your legal rights. For over 65 years, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates has been representing the citizens and businesses of southwestern Pennsylvania. With offices strategically located in Washington and Charleroi, Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can deliver results for you throughout the Pittsburgh area. Visit www.bmvlaw.com or call 724-228-7000 to see how Bassey, Vreeland & Associates can meet your legal needs. Bassey, Vreeland & Associates. We fight, we care, we win.